Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum. My name is Citizen Strife, and this week, I continue on talking about my favorite anime. Because I mentioned that SpyxFamily, or SpyxFamily, I believe it's SpyxFamily, I waffle between the both. But for everything that has been talked about since last year, I don't know if it is the most popular show from last year, but it was certainly mine. And I'm glad that they split shows in half these days, whether they call them season or cours now. But we got the first 13 episodes way back, I believe, in spring, and then we got the next set of episodes in winter of 2022. And I have to say, it was nice doing a different style and introducing new things to the formula as early as they did. Because there's really no guarantees. Like, you can't guarantee what thing is going to be popular. Okay, is this thing going to be 50 episodes? Is this going to be like 4 or 5 movies? Is this going to be whatever? And SpyxFamily is so popular that it's like, oh god, I want it. Oh god, I want more of it. Like, now we know they're going to be a third season, or third or second season, however they want to describe it. And then a movie coming this year. So yeah, fans of SpyxFamily. It's almost like fans of Konosuba. You want more Konosuba? We're getting it. Because we're getting it in the form of that Megumi prequel that's coming out this upcoming season. And yeah, I'm all in for that shit. But SpyxFamily really hit me at right at the end of it. Because I was so bowled over, and I think I stated this in the first episode, that Cowboy Bebop was such a thing for years. Like, I wouldn't dare dream of rating any show better than it, because it was like a perfect storm that I watched at the perfect time, and I just fell for it, and I always rewatch it, and I still do. But there was something just about the dynamic that SpyxFamily did that always grabbed me. Like, I would always rewatch the openings and endings, which were amazing. I felt the OP in the second Cour was better than the ED, but that's just personal preference. I mean, all 4 songs so far have been really good. But really, it was about maintaining momentum and maintaining the relationship between the main 3 characters, because all 3 of them work. Lloyd is the straight man, who is pretty much reacting to the stupid that's going around him and trying to navigate not just being a spy, and honestly being very comedic in just how over-prepared he is and how he overthinks and overanalyzes everything. Like, his superpower is, I know everything about everything, so I'm always prepared. It's like the Batman meme, like, he always will beat somebody if he has time to prepare them. Prepare a countermeasure. That's basically Lloyd Forger. You're having that, like, why does she have all this hidden power and hidden talent, yet she's kind of oblivious and dumb most of the time? Part of that. Because again, if this was a drama, I don't think that would work so well. Because it's a comedy, they're allowed to do that. And of course, Anya being Anya is just amazing. So again, it was all 3 of them working together as these main characters. A lot of it is still from Anya's perspective, because there's a lot of gold you can kind of mine from it. I don't think Cour 2 really answered my criticism of giving a lot of what Yor is about and why she is the way she is, other than she's an assassin. That's great, but doesn't exactly explain the superhuman talent. Is she a human test subject? Was she a child soldier? Stuff like that. I'm guessing they're going to keep it vague, because we don't know Lloyd's backstory, but it's more that we show off Lloyd's skill set more than we show off yours in action. We still got the second episode, and that was about it. We'll get, like, she's protecting Anya from stuff, and then she'll run super fast to get her some food, and that's cool, but it still doesn't answer that, so that's still there. This season didn't answer that question. What it did do was a couple of other good things. The main one being Bond. the family dog. This gigantic, like old school, burly white dog with a lot of fur. I don't know specifically the breed of dog, but he's one of those just old school, I'm fluffy, I'm big, I'm lovable looking dogs. Now, he was tested on, and he has a weird power. Anya picks up on it, that he can sort of see the future and kind of sort of detect future happenings and warn people and do things. He's still a dog, but he's like the super intelligent dog, much like Ein from Bebop. Like, you don't see it all the time. You still know he's a dog, which is part of the fun. So he and Anya immediately just gravitate towards each other, and that's the dynamic that really works in this season really well, because there's like two main new character relationships that matter. Bond is helping Anya do a thing with these terrorist guys, because this is a thing Lloyd's trying to do. Anya and Yor are just shopping for a dog, and she looks at some of the other dogs and goes, and then she finds Bond out of nowhere and is like, that's my dog. That's my doggo. And it just works. So they sign off on it, and it's great. So one of the cool things about SpyxFamily Season 2, or Cour 2, is you have the main 3 or 4 early episodes about Bond. Then it kind of slows down. And it could drive people nuts if you haven't seen these yet. It's a lot of like short stories, and like, you know how some shows would do like 2 small episodes or 3 small mini shows in an episode? That's kind of what SpyxFamily does a lot of in this part. Would be, here's Anya and Desmond working on a crafts project to help, Anya wants to help Desmond impress his dad, because we do get some more about Donovan Desmond, and it is kind of creepy. He doesn't show his face much. Mostly what we hear is the older brother, or one of them. I'm assuming this is one of those weird families that has like millions of family members and they're all fighting for the same fortune kind of thing. So most of Damien's contact is with his older brother, and they're just kind of dismissive, and he's just scared of it all. We finally do see Donovan, and it is interesting, because he's got that weird bug-eyed look. And when he doesn't have the weird bug-eyed look, he has the evil eyes, and it is, oof. For a show that is purely comedy most of the time, it can spark some things eventually. But again, we're getting slow progression through this Operation Strix. They're not really forcing the, one of the things I have an issue with in Ascendance of a Bookworm is they tend to do a very, very big time jump. And it seems like they're missing a lot of stuff because that show can't really afford to bounce around like this comedy can. With SpyxFamily, you can bounce around all you want because it's meant to be kind of stupid and funny. So they're taking their time with it. Ascendance kind of bounces around, and I think I've heard criticism that it bounces around too much and misses a lot of stuff. Like, mine ends up getting way older, way too fast, and a lot of the other details get missed. So that kind of thing happens here, but it's more in line with, okay, we're going from, midterms to finals of whatever, and Anya really hasn't gained too many medals yet, the Starlights yet. She's still got the one from earlier in the season, I believe. And really, a lot of these episodes are just, what are Anya and Bond doing on a day off? What is Becky doing on a day off? What are Anya and Becky going to do? Because Becky slowly gets a little bit more character as well. So she is kind of a little bit of a fashionista in her young age, but she takes Anya out shopping, and Anya doesn't know what the fuck to do because it's so fancy and ritzy, and Anya and her family are a little more rustic and kind of don't be flashy most of the time. So it's that dichotomy, but they're still, they're building that friendship because Anya and Becky are classmates and friends. So that sort of mini episode is great. Seeing some of the weirdness that Becky has towards Lloyd is interesting, given she's like 6 or 7 or something, but it's still done in a slightly funny and comedic way, which is nice. You get an episode about the handler, who's the female lead of Operation Strix, and Lloyd's boss, and she's getting tailed by these dorks, and she's just, I will mess with you because I'm going here, and she overthinks and overanalyzes things. And the way I process her is kind of the way that, like, on a bigger scale, say Mando, like Mandalorian, like Mando's one thing, but the armorer at the forge is a totally different beast altogether. That's what I think the handler is, because she has this intimidation factor that even Lloyd really doesn't have, and it's just present, but she still gets some comedic moments here and there, and it's just a lot of those small bits. Yor learns about how to cook badly, but then learns how to cook not so badly, because that's a trope in anime, because of course women can't cook. I mean, I can't cook. They don't make fun of men not cooking, do they? I don't watch too many cooking shows. I don't know where the women can't cook thing comes from, because it's either they're super, super good like a mother, or they're super, super bad like every teenager and every other person. I don't know. There's like no in between. But anyway, so yes, you get a lot of like mini episodes, and really it doesn't pick up again until Nightfall shows up. And for better or for worse, and a lot of people like Nightfall, but I like her, but I also don't. I'm going to try and explain this. Her name is Fiona Frost, Nightfall, and she's voiced in one episode by Bryn April, who was, I think she was like one of the main characters in an interview with Monster Girls, like the vampire girl. And then most of the episodes, Lindsay Seidel, who is Ichika Oya in, or Ichika Nakano in Quintuplets. I always say Oya because of the Persona 5 character, but yeah, Lindsay Seidel in most of the episodes. But for some reason, Bryn April was like, it was one of those things like they replaced somebody for like half an episode, and then they switched back to the main actor. It was weird. It was noticeable right away, but whatever. Anyway, and again, this is the English version I'm talking about, so bear that in mind. Anyway, Nightfall to me comes off as both an interesting character and a not so interesting character, and I'm gonna try and explain this. The idea is they have to go to an underground tennis match or tennis tournament, sponsored by a person who may or may not have information about Operation Strix and dealings with Donovan Desmond and whatever. So Lloyd needs an extra partner. And obviously Yor can't really do it because she doesn't really have the spy investigative, espionage training. She's got the assassin, I just kill things and I'm really super strong sort of thing. So Fiona obviously asks to be part of it, or more like demands. That was the word I was looking for. She demands to be part of it. And even the handler and some other people are just like, no, this is bad, because they know there's something off. Nightfall was trained by Lloyd, and their co-workers in I think it's the psychiatrist. Yeah, it's a psychiatrist, because Lloyd is a psychiatrist. So they're around each other, but they don't really focus on Fiona all that much in that setting. She was there like an episode, you blink and you miss it. But in this, she shows up at Lloyd's house. And Anya finds out that she's basically Yuno Gasai, if done more comedically and less murder hobo-y, if that makes any sense. If you've seen Future Diary, you know what that means. But she just goes, I love Lloyd, I love Lloyd, I love Lloyd, I love Lloyd. And it's just... So they're playing the trope of, oh my god, there's a second girl, or oh my god, there's a second wife, or whatever. And that's fun, but I'm also kind of sick of that in a way. I'm sick of it because it's like every other show has that. And I don't really need that in every show. Because I was watching Dress Up Darling fairly recently, and they make it pretty obvious that the main guy and the main girl are kind of meant for each other. And there are some dalliances for like half an episode to talking with other girls, but nothing ever like overtly serious. And it was sadly refreshing, if that makes any sense. So as fun as it is to have another female to bounce off of, and in a different way to Lloyd, really all it does is serve to change the narrative of Yor and Lloyd, because there's never any indication that Lloyd cares about Nightfall the same way she does about him. So I don't know. Fiona comes across as very, very strict, and obviously she was trained by Twilight. It makes sense. Twilight is super serious about every little detail and every little knowledge base, so Nightfall has the same tendencies, and they would fit as partners. But you need that extra dynamic of, a man and a woman falling for each other has more to do with how they interact. Are they friends? I never get the sense that Lloyd and Fiona were ever friendly. There was always these, I was training you and now I'm the master kind of thing, not in the weird way, but mentor and pupil, that sort of thing. And that she goes off the deep end and it almost becomes intolerable, because it's fun seeing all the mechanics of the tennis match, because they're trying every stupid little thing to stop these people who have the skill to do basically anything. They are Renaissance people. They have learned how to do anything. So they walk into this tennis tournament when these people have all these like weird drugs and special ways of fucking with the opponents, because that's legal in this tournament. So they sneak in, but it's like every 5 or 10 seconds when they finish a thing, Fiona's like, oh my god, did you see that, Twilight? I am the best for you. And it does get kind of grating, because as fun as a character as it is, and again, this is played as a comedy, this isn't played as a normal harem, so bear that in mind. It's not as crazy about the, oh my god, are they going to fall for each other? Because it's a one-sided. It is absolutely one-sided, and I don't think they ever explain Lloyd going into it. They have Yor confront him later, but again, they don't do enough to really justify, oh, this could actually be a thing. It never felt like there was the chemistry from Lloyd that made it work. That's why sometimes the harems are tricky. I've talked about chemistry in like video game romances, and I'm like, if I don't feel it from both sides, it's going to come off as weird. And this is one of those situations. I feel it from Yor and Lloyd because they just have this weird interplay and weird interaction, and that's what the show is banking on, is that they're faking a relationship, but they have the real relationship slowly bubbling into the surface because they're always around each other, and there's always this like, what are they doing and how are they going to do it? Nightfall, Fiona is just one-sided, bang it in your face over and over until I'm a bit sick of it. So as popular as Fiona is, I don't know if I'm alone in thinking that it's just a bit much. Like, they spend 3 or 4 episodes talking to you like it's this big deal, and it really makes up the end of the season. Like, the final episode is Lloyd confronting Desmond for the first, Donovan Desmond for the first time, this big bad that we're supposed to meet, and he hits this bill. But the other 3 or 4 episodes before that are about Nightfall and then what the effect is on Yor. That's usually a cool thing that you add into harems every once in a while. You piece together, oh, here's half an episode about this character, and then here's another episode about this one. We're learning about this. You're getting like 3 or 4 episodes. I think if you spaced out Nightfall early on and given her a little bit more to go on, and it might have worked better. But they cram it near the end of the arc, and it feels a bit out of place. And they probably will bring her back, but by then it'll be like, well, that doesn't really do much anymore because you've already kind of screwed that up. Given that it's a comedy, I'm not as worried about it because there's not too many stakes involved. You'd have to really try really hard to screw up the Spy Family formula at this point. And I don't think they're in the business of doing that because this is a big time show. So the risk eventually is that nothing ever happens to this family and there's not really an end game. They're just going to be in like gear 1, gear 2 for so long, and they'll try not to get to gear 3, 4, and 5 until way late. But there's going to be an end game somewhere, you would think. There's no indication this is going to be like 1,000 episodes, but if I'm wrong, then I'm in for a hell of a long journey. But do I still enjoy it? Yes, I think Bond and Anya are some of the best. I remember stating earlier that the reason that this show was my favorite was not any of the Yor being an assassin stuff or Lloyd being a spy stuff. It was some of the weird interactions between Anya and Lloyd and Yor as a family. Because every once in a while, you'll get those. You'll get them being a family. And Anya is being chastised for something at the end of the last Cour. So they have to play along and, portray these like weird things, like these weird people or weird monsters. And Anya is leading them to the store to buy peanuts or something. Stupid stuff like that, and I talked about Bond and Anya. One of my favorite bits of this season was a segment where Bond was starting to get jealous. You could see it on his face. He was getting jealous of the attention that Anya was giving to her pet penguin that she got from Lloyd as a stuffed doll. So he chewed it up. Anya gets angry like you would, but the way they resolve it and just their facial expressions, just the little words and things they say, and I think this is the important thing, is the way Lloyd is involved, how he resolves the situation, how Bond is trying to make amends for doing that. He knows he screwed up, and then Anya seals the deal. I forget which episode it is, but I know it's there. Is just the way that they talk to each other as a dog and as a child and try to make amends as family, because that's really what it is. It isn't their family pet. He is a member of their family. That's what Anya thinks. That's what Lloyd thinks. That's what Yor thinks. They treat him as a family member and they understand what he means to that family. And that's the sort of stuff that really drives me back to this. All the spy stuff is great. All of the espionage and assassin stuff is great. All of Anya's little telepathic powers are great. But every so often, you'll just get those little, oh my God, this is just wholesome. It's a very wholesome show. And even though it's not perfect, because no show is perfect, it just strikes this amazing balance of being this wholesome show about these three characters that have this amazing chemistry, and then they add a couple more every so often so that they keep the formula running, and it works so well. So again, it still maintains its spot as my favorite show or favorite anime, and if you haven't seen Spy Family, I would highly recommend it, because there's nothing wrong I can say about it outside of little nitpicks. And even my little nitpicks might be some of people's favorite things. They might be like, Fiona might be the best character they've ever seen, or the best version of that type of character they've ever seen, or some of the other little things that I thought weren't fun could be some of everybody's best things. So there's a lot that this show offers that I think a lot of people can enjoy. But that'll do it for me. And let's see, because again, I've had this list of shows on the docket for a while, so I'm going to make sure to keep updating it as I go here. And we've done Spy Family. Next week is Chrono Trigger, another game that I can probably just recite off memory rather than having to do a primer for it. Raven of the Inner Palace, April 30th. And then Mega May, Mega Man 1 and Powered Up together, Mega Man X2, Mega Man Legends, and Mega Man Battle Network. So we're full bore and fully ready to do lots and lots of stuff and lots of talking. So I'm done talking for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So I'll see you guys next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.